Ah, look at that. So that's it right there.
Beauty.
All right, Hector, we figured things out.
Don't tell anyone, they'll come to
Although we
expect
should
it.
say, everybody watching, we figured this out because we know Hector's going to include some of this in the B-roll.
Yep.
Because it's what he does. All right.
Meaning. All right.
All right. So we're trying a different view this time around. Hopefully nobody minds.
Yep.
All right. Are we ready?
Yep. Yes, we're rolling.
All right.
Yep.
And it's another Mike and Mike's off-air podcast. Your friend Mike O'Neill from the new My 97.5.
And Mike Pesto hanging out with you as well. If you're watching, first of all, thank you. Appreciate that. You're seeing a new vantage point. You're only seeing us from about our nipples on up.
Oh, thanks for that.
You know, and this sucks.
What?
You know why
Why?
this sucks?
Tell me.
What have I been complaining about every single day?
Oh, you could have had you had an issue that could have been a non-issue this entire time.
And the first time I'm actually doing something about it, you can't see. I actually am wearing my girdle today.
He's got his boy Spanx on.
So my gut is sucked in with a contraption around my waist, and you can't even see it.
And the only one that can appreciate it is me and Mike Pesto. I love it.
Oh man. You know what? It's one of Murphy's laws.
Yeah.
When you do something a certain way, and you do it differently, then suddenly you realize why you did it that way all along.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a new poll question. Well,
Okay.
it's not so new now, up at my975fm.com. I figure we asked people to weigh in on these. We might as well weigh in as well.
Sure.
Last week, I mentioned that, I think it's Merced, added their first ever red light camera. What surprised me, a couple things. One, I realized that legally in California, they have to make it known where all red light cameras are. So there's a website you can go to. I forget the website, but it will tell you where every single registered red light camera is in the entire state of California. Guess how many are in Fresno? Population 500,000 plus. Just ballpark.
I've never even been aware where one is, so
Okay.
I don't have a frame of reference. I'm getting a vibe that there's a surprising amount of them.
Absolutely, there's a surprising amount.
Then I'll say 50.
The surprising amount is there's one. In the entire city of Fresno, there is one operational registered red light camera. I couldn't tell you what intersection. I'm guessing it's somewhere on Shaw.
Right? Shaw or McKinley.
Or do they intersect? Do
Well,
you know?
doing traffic, as I often do, something's always going on McKinley.
Okay.
So,
Whereas Bakersfield, there's 400,000 plus in Bakersfield.
Right.
They have a blank ton of red light cameras. So apparently, I don't know if it's more of an issue in Bakersfield or just a different mindset in Bakersfield.
they just want you to feel more miserable in Bakersfield.
Yeah, that
Here's
must
a
be
really
it.
bad picture of you and a fine coming.
And a ton in Los Angeles and San Diego. But it surprised me to see that many in Bakersfield. One in Fresno, now one in Merced. There aren't any in Kings or Tulare counties. When I first moved here, I remembered there was one. But now there's not. So the question that's online at my975fm.com, do you think we could stand to have a red light camera or two in the South Valley? And if so, where?
They don't hurt, but I'll tell you again, as someone that reports the traffic, most of the crazy traffic stuff that I see and report, a lot of it is in Fresno. Down south here where we are, it doesn't get too bad. So I wonder how badly we need it.
Those are accidents, though.
True.
I will tell you, Mooney and Caldwell needs a red light camera specifically for the red turn signal. The red turn signal is a suggestion. Nobody stops at the first one. If you get the third car that's about to go through to stop, you're lucky. Because I'm ready to go. I've got places to go as well. And if I'm in front, I know I've got the green and I'm seeing 2 or 3 more cars pull out in front of me. Yes, please put a camera there.
That would probably be good. Also, that bit on Demery, about the same distance from Mooney to Demery, right there, and heading back to Tulare. That's a crazy place right there. There's a lot of accidents happen there. Anyway.
Yeah, so I am all in favor of it. For anyone who thinks, well, I don't want the government to step in and overreaching their bounds. Listen, just
Well, you're
abide
not
by the law.
You're not using your blinkers or slowing down through those red light cameras, so maybe we should.
So, and I don't know if anyone does know. They want to comment on the video. Obviously, you can do that. It's online at my975fm.com, of course, on our YouTube channel as well. I don't know with a red light camera, can they get you for other things as well? Like, could they get you for not using a turn signal? Could they get you for not having a seatbelt on if it's a camera that's in a position where it can actually see into a vehicle? That I don't know.
I'd have to say yes, because they're not being intrusive. It's just it's a byproduct of the use of the camera. They're taking your picture. It's understood that this is going to happen. I'm going to guess yes.
See, and I would guess no, only because, again, no one is actually seeing it. No one's pulling you over. If someone pulls you over, they can see if you're wearing a seatbelt or not, or if it's a police officer that and looks through the window in the back and sees that you're frantically trying to put your seatbelt on. That's a little different than a quick shot of one picture, I'm guessing. And I'm thinking that's all it is. I don't know. Another thing, with it being a red light camera, is it taking pictures? Is it taking video? That I'm not even sure about.
Is there a sign that comes up that says, "Say cheese"?
I think legally, again, there has to be a sign somewhere at all places approaching an intersection with the red light camera.
They have to let you know.
It's almost like with police officers, and I think this is the case. I don't know this for certain, but if there's a police officer set up somewhere with a speed trap, they've got a radar gun, they're pointing it at everybody, they have to have at least their parking lights on. There has to be something visually on the outside of the vehicle to let you know that vehicle is in use. It's not just parked there.
Back in the day, my buddy had one of those things in his car where if they shot the radar gun at you,
Oh, yeah.
it lit up, and it would scare the crap out of us.
There are apps now you can get. I think the Waze app, I think, is one of them, that as you're driving, it will let you know if you're heading into an area where there is a speed trap. And if you come across one, you can alert the app as well, so other drivers behind you will know, hey, when you approach this overpass on 99, just be aware they're pointing the gun at you.
But the irony of those old apps is by the time it makes the noise, they've got you. So it might as well, instead of being it probably should say, slow down and pull over and get ready to meet an officer. You know?
Make sure you have your registration and license with you, and proof of insurance as well.
You're about to meet somebody. Okay. Well,
Not that I've ever been pulled over to know exactly what they ask for.
ever.
So I talked about this the other day, and I thought we'd spend a bit of time talking about this. Christy Brinkley's tell-all memoir is coming out, called Uptown Girl, obviously, because she was the inspiration for Billy Joel's song.
And I wonder how worried Billy is about that.
Well, there's one big, at least this is a bombshell for me. I didn't know, maybe a lot of people already knew about this. I didn't, that she was the one who asked for the divorce, and it had everything to do with his drinking.
Wow.
I did not know that.
I didn't know it, but it doesn't shock me. He's not the first artist with a substance abuse problem.
No.
And being an alcoholic and knowing what that can do to a family, I can understand why she'd want to leave, because they don't stop until they're damn good and ready. And just because your spouse wants you to doesn't often predicate the stop. So
The story that she told, which I thought was interesting, and I'm on the fence whether I want to read the book or not. I'm not a big fan of tell-all memoirs.
Right.
I'm a bigger fan of people that I already like and admire, or I'm interested in to find out what their story was like. Dennis Rodman's book, Bad as I Want to Be, was a tremendous book. I was a big fan of the Chicago Bulls at the time, and that was the last team he played with. And he starts the book out talking about when he was on the Detroit Pistons and sitting in the parking lot after a game with a shotgun with the intention of blowing his brains out. Mm-hmm. And that's how the book starts. And then it goes back through his days in grade school and junior college, and it's definitely written from his standpoint. And it kind of gets back to that moment at or towards the end, and then talks about his days with the Bulls. So, it grabbed my attention from the beginning. Christie Brinkley is not someone I'm all that interested in, but at least the aspects she has to talk about with Billy Joel, because it's an artist that we play.
Yeah, I love his music. I don't know that much about him personally, but I've always been a huge, huge fan of the expression, trust the art, not the artist.
Yeah.
And so I'm not applying that necessarily specifically here, but in general, that's a great song, and that is all the commitment I have to offer, because I don't have to fall in love with the artist or want to emulate him or his style of living or any of those things. I just really like Piano Man.
One thing a couple of things that she said, at least in the little article that I read in talking about the book, is that to this day, she kind of refers to Billy as her soulmate.
Wow.
Which is interesting because obviously they're not together now. In fact, she's had marriages that have dissolved since Billy, from what I understand. She gets into those as well. She also talks about what was the straw that broke the camel's back, as it were, was an incident that took place years ago while they were still married, that he had his band come over at one point, do a little jam session. And he had this whole bowl of pasta that he ate at some point, either before they got there or as they were arriving. And at some point, apparently he was so intoxicated, he went off on his bandmates. He's like, which one of you guys ate my pasta? And he wasn't kidding. He was seriously thinking that someone else ate it. And apparently, as adamant as he was about it, and Christie was thinking because of the alcohol, it's like, is this the life I want to live? Is this the person I want to be attached to, even though I still consider this person my soulmate?
No, they hit their bottom, man. My wife would consider me her soulmate, and I can tell you this. I know what I am through with you looks like. I saw that 11 and change years ago, and I'll tell you what, my friend, I believed it. It took a long time to earn my way back there, so I know what that looks like. You know, it's interesting. Do you know that Stevie Nicks said the exact same thing about Joe Walsh?
Really?
Yep. Although she didn't say soulmate, she said was the love of her life.
Okay.
But they just didn't work out together.
Not Lindsay?
Joe was a mess.
Wasn't Lindsay Buckingham?
They're such good friends. Yeah. By the way, Fleetwood Mac fans, if you're waiting for the reconciliation, go get a hamburger. You'll enjoy it more.
This brought up something, though, that got me to thinking about, and Christie got to the point. This is someone that she was madly in love with, her soulmate, and she had to walk away from him. And maybe she gets into why. I'm assuming she does in the book, and that would be an interesting aspect for me. I want to give too many details because I haven't cleared this with the person I'm going to be bringing up, but I knew someone, and still know someone, who I was very, very, very good friends with. Brothers for all practical purposes. And he is an alcoholic. It's one of those things, you could talk to it much better than I can. If you truly get to a point where you realize you are, you should always consider yourself an alcoholic. Is that accurate?
It's absolutely the truth.
Okay.
And the way we say it, if we're being humble and honest, is I'll say, if you drank the way I drank, you are always going to be. I'm an alcoholic, my friend. And then I'll describe to you the way I drank, and you're like,
okay.
And then you look at me 9 times out of 10, and you're like, oh crap.
Even though you're 10 years sober, 15 years sober, you still need to, so that way it's always a constant battle.
It's hard to explain, but
okay.
My wife can tell me if I've been 3 weeks, 4 weeks without going to a meeting because I'll start to get edgy. What I call my behaviors will start to arise. My anxiety is more. I'm less patient. I'm less caring. Untreated alcoholics are notoriously selfish. The whole world is according to them and their comfort. And we adjust everything around us so that we are comfortable because we don't want to lose our shit. And that is the big problem there. And, for your wife, that's awful because she's constantly being derided for being who she is, and she's not doing anything wrong. But Crazy Town over here, her husband, is, I can't, and you're just trying to adjust everything around you so that you can deal with it. And it just makes your family and your wife crazy. It just does. And that's why there's Al-Anon. You are allowed to go to a safe space. You can love them from afar until they're willing to do something about it. Does that make sense?
It does. I have to admit, when I had to walk away from that person, and there were some circumstances that kind of forced it to happen, although the friendship could have remained, it didn't, and it will probably never be what it was. I had to get to a point where I realized I tried to be the solution as much as I could be. It's not healthy for me anymore to be associated with this person, at least now.
No.
So that's why I didn't fight more for the friendship after things happened that necessitated us not being together and doing things together anymore.
No, you're going to need him. You are going to need him to be serious in recovery and to come to you as part of his recovery to try and make amends with you.
Now,
because that will be the beginning of when you can be like, wow, he's really making an effort here. He might really be changing here. He cited things I remember that he did and that at the time he denied straight out. But I remember clearly. And then you watch his journey. If he, after 6 months, after a year, if he's still on path, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, then you can slowly but surely, if you want to, trust in again. If he falls off the wagon, then you can be says, well, here we are again, and here I go again. And then you have to decide whether it's worth it or not. But that's kind of the process. You won't believe him until he comes to you specifically. I mean, you had a relationship, a big relationship, and I'm sure he denied it all the time, and that's what hurt the most. Until he overcomes that, comes to you and tries to seek forgiveness, I don't believe you'll trust him, because I know that
They didn't trust me.